But another week, travelers. Welcome to another episode of Backyard Progression, where I go over the seasonal changes and watch my video have a really hard time all of a sudden. What the heck is going on? One moment. Video. Technical difficulties. Give me one moment. Not you. You. Okay. We're just going to leave it alone. So, as I was saying, we got record-breaking snow nearby, but our snow stayed pretty much the same. Like everything melted in the week, and then we got another foot or two of snow, as opposed to the 7 to 12 that Buffalo got. So it's rough. My condolences to people out there. It's holiday weeks, so everyone's got their own thing going on. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, which is why I'm doing this on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday. But yeah, just another normal day here. There's lots of activity in the forest because of all the snow. Things are going pretty well in that regard. Nature keeps doing its own thing. I feel like last time I talked a lot about how tracking and tracks were kind of everywhere. And it's kind of wild to see stuff like that, because I feel like in games you have to have like detective vision or something to see this kind of stuff. It's not inherently obvious. And it's interesting that a lot of perception is just like being more aware and more knowledgeable about like what things are actually going on here. Like I can obviously notice the footprints, and I feel like the next level of tracking up is noticing like broken leaves or rubbings or different aspects of excrement and whatnot. It's it's wild how deep things can get, and as your knowledge base grows, and the more you do something, the better you get at it. So I really like the concepts of resolutions and of Lent and all of these different concepts where you're trying to better yourself. You're trying to create a sense of who you are with and without things and like where you're trying to go. I talked a lot last time about goals, and it kind of didn't dawn on me to talk like about New Year's resolutions with that, which is kind of funny. But all the same, it's important to do things and to enjoy the progression of it. I talked a little bit about like how people thrive on that kind of thing, and having these hobbies, having these new toys and things to work with and work on and see like just how much better it is with new and different ways to do things. Like it challenges the known, which is super important. Like I don't feel like anyone should have really concrete ideas about nearly anything. Like as long as it doesn't harm people, it's pretty open for discussion. But harm gets into a really weird place. Like it's pretty easy to say, like, I think nature is brutal, and the way animals kill each other, and it's needed for the cycle to work properly. And humans are just so outside that. We're so uh, population dense without predators. Like, we've really filled out the world. And it's curious because, like, that kind of line of thinking can lead to, I don't know, Thanos like levels of mass killing, and it's not okay. But, like, from a nature sense, it kind of works, and a believable villain can use that kind of subtext. But it's it's interesting to go into the wild and have, like, this be the skill that I'm working with, being in the forest, just like existing in spaces, seeing the tracks, making paths easier for the animals, which could be good or bad, you know. I'm not one to say. Like, it's the cycle that we're living through. And for example, a lot of animals, when they don't have natural predators, like deer, will eat out the entire food supply. They'll multiply out of control. They'll get hit by cars here and there, but even still, that's not enough to control the population. But if they get to the point where they've eaten out all of the food supply, they just die out. Just one massive extinction event. And it's really kind of wild. It's just nature. Like, and it goes into parables about greed and everything there, but it's okay. It's just the way nature is, and it's something I feel like the Addams Family gets very right, in that the nature is brutal and wild, and oftentimes, like, the morbidity of all of it is part of what makes it beautiful. And that can be missing at times, and that can get missed very often by different people explaining out um, the characters and the views and everything. It can be hard to really engage with that, because in the 90s it was very morose. There was a flatness to it. They didn't necessarily capture the joy of, like, wow, it's really shitty outside. How awesome is that? Like, nature is really aggressive and evil and neutral and positive all at the same time. Different aspects of nature destroy completely and thoroughly. And it's one moment. Okay. Sorry about that. Um, it's impressive how people like to make things black and white. And it's very easy to do. And it helps our thought processes to be to know what we should be doing, how things should be going, where our morals lie. It's hard. Really gets into a lot of philosophy, and it's really a shame we don't put value on that enough anymore. There's just so much about the human existence that goes untouched, especially living the way people do now. It's wild, for sure. Um, but I don't think there's coming out of a depressive episode. It's weird to say this, but there's nothing gained from being very flat and being very um, blasé to the world. And I feel like that's the hardest part about depression is the engagement with the concepts that nothing matters, nothing I do is going to um, positively or negatively affect anyone else's life. Or um, it's interesting. It's rough, especially when encapsulated in ways that um, are isolated, I guess is a better way to put it. There's so much about the human existence that is built on having a good community, be it through family or friends or just local people. There's supposed to be more where we're working together, and it can be exceptionally heartbreaking to be excluded, to be isolated. It's painful, and people endure it because of the way the system is currently. Your neighborhood is just a bunch of random people. You don't know them, you don't interact with them. There's no community there. And it's tricky because, like, that's all predicated on the housing market and the way that everything works out. Trying to just exist where you can, have a roof over your head, a place to stay clean, stay active, and make enough money to continue that space. So it's tricky for sure. I mean, it's just one of those situations where you've got to do what you have to. You got to stay going. But it makes for a really hard life. And I don't have a great answer on how the system needs to be changed. If living in a little commune with your friends, buying out like a neighborhood, basically, and having a block of people that care about you that you can go to, that you can like hop over next door for borrow a cup of sugar or whatever, like that very warm thing that turned into an HOA and like different housing groups that like end up just controlling people, and they end up being like people of higher status or whatever who are out of touch, just like all pieces of the government currently. It's not great. It's just how things are. And it's so upsetting to live in a world like that. So having goals and having these little moments of like, how do I engage best with the hellscape that we live in, this dystopian nightmare that was told 40 years ago, at least at this point. Oh, around 40 years ago. It's hard, and it's the way life is currently. It doesn't have to be. It can change. It just isn't currently. So I've been really trying to like dive deep and get back into the passion of gaming and like doing something that I feel like I should be getting better at. And that's streaming. Like having at least a touch of professionalism in the video, having streams and different things on a more regular basis. Because a lot of the issue, like my concept going back, is when I'm playing games, I can stream. It's not that difficult to press play or press start and go from there. But at the same time, like people like schedules, people like knowing when to expect things. A Discord is probably a thing that is really good for that, but it's it becomes work. And it's really a cycle I see a lot of people go through of like they want to get better at streaming, they want to have better space, they want to engage with their viewers more and better and get a better idea of like, well, what do the people want to see? Like when you're just kind of open to trying new and different things, which is great. But it's interesting in doing that, you create a lot of ill will towards the thing you love. And it becomes a chore more than a joy. So I've just been trying to hit go, start up, have things going, and we'll improve as needed. But I definitely don't have enough community for a Discord. I don't even have subscribe or bits or any of the like basic stuff. And I guess I just need more followers, need to build that space. It's wild. Like, and I don't know. It's not there. But that's okay. So, moving on to this week. I kind of didn't highlight anything from this past week, which is silly considering like there's a lot to highlight, but we'll get right back into it. So, this is this week. As you can see, snow's a little deeper. You can see drifts here. Drifts are really the issue when it comes to a lot of snow. The way the Blizzard of 77 worked was that the lake froze really early, and a lot of snow accumulated on the lake, and then it blew in, giving us a lot more snow than expected. And it just the type of snow being this, I call it pretty snow. It's that picturesque, like comes down really soft and floaty, and that happens with colder temperatures. Whereas the stuff from a couple of weeks ago with the disaster style snow, where it's super wet and heavy and like just on the cusp of being snow, such that it weighs everything down, sticks. So This snow is different. This snow can blow around very easily. And that aspect of it, this tree fell sometime in the storm, probably during the 70-mile-an-hour winds. Smack. Uh, well, it- so this storm was just flat snow, record breaking for lifetimes. The people in Buffalo got trapped for a couple days without emergency services. There were giant snowbanks in the street. It basically didn't get reported from what I could see, which only further uh, makes my feelings about humanity worse. That we have people in need and we don't highlight it because it would make other people look bad, the ones who are in charge. And they should. They should feel bad. They should feel like they've failed. Those families, the people who die, the and there's no accountability, there's no anything going on there. Just people being screwed over. And it's awful. I truly hate it. But we've lost our little bridge again. I did fish it out from over there, and I guess I have to do it again. Or it blew away, which is an option I didn't think about until now. So we'll have to find a replacement at some point, but the creek is freezing at different rates. There's absolutely spots where it's still running. And obviously, running water takes a lot more effort to freeze than just stagnant water. So seeing the waterfall spaces be frozen is really interesting. It probably has to do with some of the aeration, the way it falls. You get more ice forming on nearby things, and that just builds up to the point where ice is over completely. But you get different spots where it's still just running. And it's wild. That path I walked over was completely ice. I had no idea where the actual boards were. I just kind of hoped and got lucky, I guess. Could be just as easy. One of my feet go through the ice and gets super wet and cold, and it's just gross. It's dangerous. Yep. These are the same spots we were poking at, trying to see the different aspects of the creek. But yeah, it's super cold, and I don't like going out in this because of the danger, how easy it is to slip, how tragic it would be to freeze to death. But stink bugs are still making it in my home, which are interesting. They probably just live in my walls at this point. It's it's hard to begrudge animals for bringing themselves into your home because you've made a nice place. It's quite warm and safe, and you have to fulfill your predator role sometimes of like taking care of them, making sure that they get put out of their misery so you don't endure sickness and ill health from their droppings in general existing in your space. It'd be better if there was coexisting, but that's not likely to happen, not easy to create. It does still blow my mind how people just exist. Currently wearing one of my wool Ruanas. This is a really nice piece. I really love it. I got it super early into my LARPing career, and I think it just like it's fantastic for staying warm and dry, and it's a very simple fabric. It's just wool. It's thin even, like it's hard to see, but it's, you know, no thicker than a quarter. And it's great. Keeps you warm, does everything it needs to. It's a lot of staying warm when wind isn't an issue is trapping your heat, keeping this section where like clothes open up covered, having like a good space, a good thing to like you can even hood to get different like head protection. Fantastic piece. And it's just a giant rectangle with a slit halfway through about. Glorious. Can't say I'm familiar with the culture, can't say that I know the time period or whatever, but I find it fantastic. It's simple, it has a great look. And once hunting season is over, I do want to get out there and take some more just character shots, utilize a bit more of my garb, be generally more witchy in the new year. And that's kind of hard as a resolution to just, you know, do more, be more. But it's kind of what you have to do. Give yourself a decent goal. Um, Long ago at this point, it was my goal to get all of the trash out of these woods. There's just so much like cans and bottles and things that don't decompose, styrofoam that just washes in with the creek or blows in from neighbors. Oh, so I talked previously about the way things break in this is so different. So pointing this out specifically, that when the snow is so heavy, it's causing it to fracture and like break out the center rather than just like a clean break. It's actually like the insides are being smushed so that it like breaks out instead of like cleanly or away. Because so many people are used to seeing, you know, tree branches break. You just break off, they fall to the ground. It's pretty normal. But I feel like this is a pretty exclusive way that these trees break to this kind of a storm event where they're just crushed. I can't even fathom doing that to like a small stick, just the amount of pressure you'd need and consistency. Like it probably happens very slowly, but it is winter. This is the refreshing period, the time where we're supposed to recover and reflect and set ourselves on the best path we can. So let's all try to do that. My path is getting better. Um, I might do a retrospective. I probably won't because it's a lot. It's actual effort. I have to track down the first YouTube video and kind of like look at it side by side. It's not great. I don't know if it'd be worthwhile content. It might be worth doing once I've hit a full year. Like end to end, like where things were, where things are, how different the path looks and takes from from a full year. I will put that down as a goal, but I cannot promise one way or the other if that will work. So, yeah, no worries there. Um, Schedules are hard. And it's one of those situations where when it is a job, when you like do stream as your source of income, and it makes a lot of sense to have set times where your viewers and people who support you are on and active and get to engage with you. I feel like it's kind of hard on the East Coast when a lot of the user base is in the West Coast. So you get some very interesting time discrepancies. So like it's especially funny when I'm like up at 3 a.m. watching someone on the West Coast. They're like, "Oh man, it's midnight. I should get to bed." Like, right, yeah. it's it's hard to stay active and engaged and utilize your voice and have stuff to talk about, especially when like you're going through a goal and you're focused. And that's like the thing you're doing. When you're in a solo space, it's it's hard because LPing kind of made it more about like staying focused on the game. And I know in streaming you don't need to do that. But I still have this urge to be like, how do we continue talking about the game? How do we continue talking about this unfortunate moment where I'm grinding like lectern swaps for a villager just to try to get mending, and it's not great. It's not great uh, vibes or entertainment. Doesn't feel great to do. But when there's an active chat, you can kind of like work with people and what they're doing and how their day's going, what they're thinking about, and what this makes them think of, and kind of like it becomes more community, more discussion based, as opposed to being stuck in a space where it's like, well, this is me. This is my life now. I hit this lectern until this villager slot machine hits right. And it's not great, but it's it's why I'm so critical about a lot of decisions in certain packs, because like yeah, I don't know how hard it would be to do a lot of the things I say. I could check that out. That'd be kind of a neat little thing to do, like put together full on built-in tutorials. Um, but again, it's hard without a community, without that sense of like, this is what people want to see. Maybe they just want to chill while I break lecterns for an hour and just like hang out and vibe, and it's part of it. It's just the way life works. You don't always know how things are going to turn out. And if you did, it would be really boring. You'd have, I feel like that is an aspect of Future Sight that doesn't get talked about enough. How bored you would be. How like how interesting and how much work you would put into any kind of black spot. Like if like how much you would crave the unknown, the like not knowing how a thing is going to end out. Because if you just knew, if everything was deterministic, there might be some joy. Like, I know how a song goes, but it doesn't stop my enjoyment of the song. There's certain things that activate there that really work out. And it's important to engage with that. It's important to work with the things that make you happy, even if they don't have any other purpose, but but it makes you happy. That's enough. It doesn't have to look great. When you're new at a hobby, it's going to be a little rough. And then you're going to learn more and more techniques and get better and just. But the, the, the pain of all artists is it's so incremental, you can't see that progress until you look back at old drawings and things. And a lot of artists I know are so ashamed. It's like, oh, don't look at that. That's so old. It's so bad. I was so bad back then. And they're talking down themselves instead of saying like, wow, look at that. Look at this thing that I made. It was great. It was the best I could do at that time. Look how far I've grown. Look how much better I've gotten. And overall, those incremental changes are the hardest to hold on to really engage with. And that's why I love the series, because all of the natural things that change and the unnatural things that get added are all incremental. It all takes a little bit of effort and time to really play out how it's going to. But all the same, it does play out. And it does, and many times, get better. And you get better at making it better. So, like, that's why learning how to lose is probably one of the biggest skills that I've worked on in the past couple years. Treating times where things don't go the way things are planned as opportunities to get better, to learn more, to really focus on the aspects that you can change, to focus on the radical acceptance of life, and then things are the way they are, and you're only going to continue existing until you don't. So make the most of it. Enjoy working through those losses, but not ruminating on them, such that you get better without being devastated by not succeeding the way you want to. Thank you all for coming. This has been another week. We will continue on into the new year. I will likely try to stay on Wednesdays, but who knows? Again, this was a little bit of a different time. Well, same time, different day, but I've been trying to stream more. I'm going to continue to try to stream more. I've got more of this Minecraft mod pack that I'm not releasing to YouTube because it's just not good YouTube content. I'd have to trim so much. And overall, like, I don't feel confident in my knowledge of it, which I guess holds me back from a lot of, like, stuff. I'm not fully familiar with the mod packs. And I guess, like, I should be. I should take the time, like, build a creative world and just kind of, like, engage with the mod pack and, like, learn what it's about, learn where it's going, what the benefit is along the way. like at different tiers so that it can get better. But I'm gonna cut the video here. Check out my Twitch for more Minecraft and things. I'm going to continue with that. Be sure to check out my YouTube if you're on Twitch, and we will endure another year. Hopefully things get better. Can't promise that they will. All right, till next time, take care of yourself, be good, be sure to drink water and stretch, and have a good one.